And a good evening, viewers, and welcome back. It may not look like it, but spring has certainly finally has sprung out here in London. And thanks to your viewers' suggestions, I've dragged myself back out here in Mayfair for this evening's video. So I'm standing in front of Bellamy's restaurant. You could say it's a living embodiment of London's ongoing affection for French cuisine and French dining in general, albeit married to some elements of more local and familiar comforts. The best of both worlds, perhaps. Bellamy's is only open during the weekdays and evenings, and it also boasts an award for being the most civilised restaurant in London. However, the restaurant maintains to be an under-the-radar yet inclusive eatery in London Mayfair. This is a bit of a challenge, as the word civilised and the very notion of filming for video on YouTube is not something I would imagine would belong in the same ballpark. And I'm just worried that my filming may cause a little bit of disruption, but I'll do my best to remain invisible. So I shall see you all inside by the table. And welcome to Bellamy's. Here is a little whistle-stop tour of the menu. It's quite simplified in comparison to all the other restaurants in and around this part of London, which is a nice touch. You always get the conundrum of having too much choice, too many options, so keep it nice and simple to focus on the quality rather than quantity. As you can see, it's classic, accessible French cuisine, but mixed in with some more British influences as well. I did mention it's going to be the best of both worlds here. There you have it. As this is a French-inspired brasserie, of course it will have its own impressive wine list. So here we are, a quick scroll through here, and some charming handwritten examples there. There you go. And just an initial view of the table. Bread and butter, of course. Let's get my menu out of the way. To be expected, linen napkin, and there's a bread plate on the left. They're all standard fare so far. And so I've been given a proper steak and knife, and that will give you a clue what I'll be having for mains. I know I had a bit of jip lately with the lack of proper cutlery in my recent videos, so hopefully this will be a better start to things. And of course, some salt and pepper shakers. I don't expect to be using them, as I trust the food here is rather splendid. Alright, take 3. I'm having problems with the lighting. The restaurant is fairly more on the dimmer side of the spectrum in terms of lighting, but here I am, fully seated. I've got myself a little corner table, which makes things a little bit easier. I'm surprised that it's a lot louder, more chattier than I imagined it to be. It's from the blurb, this place was supposed to be a bit more understated, but I don't know, nothing to complain about. It gives me a bit of a license to speak up a little bit more, and I can sense some staring in my direction as I say this. So anyway, keep it together. So the business of ordering food has been taken care of. That's en route, as well as my glass of wine for the evening, with 2 courses to begin with, and hopefully pudding to follow. Fingers crossed. First course has landed. So this is a terrine of guinea fowl and morel mushrooms. It arrived fairly quickly, as you would expect. It's not a cooked, it's pre-prepared item, so just served to order. And there's a little initial slice here, lovely varied texture of the guinea fowl in there, and somewhere in the mix is your morel mushrooms. Anyway, let's give this a taste. The texture, good amount of chew to it, the right amount of resistance. Goodness, I'm all for these descriptions, but you know what I mean. It's got a slightly gamey flavour in there. Yeah, a mix of the air and the earth, you could say, in the terrine. Another piece. Within the terrine, you have the cold gelatinous item element there. So sort of adds a bit of moisture to the whole delivery to the palate. There's no there is no sort of chutneys or conserves to go along with it. So it's quite simplified in terms of what you get, and you get a little bit of salad leaves here as garnish. It only just dawned on me that something is missing, and that is the wine, but that is entirely my fault. I'd forgotten to order it. I just picked my starter and mains and just handed the menu back. Yeah, so my mistake. So I want to get that rectified. Goodness, I am all over the place. I've not even tried the bread and butter yet, so I've just ordered the wine though. So while I'm waiting, I might as well just sample the bread and butter offerings, and of course the butter is softened just right, so bonus points there. So that was a pleasant piece of bread and butter. No surprises there, nothing being reinvented, so all good so far. And Bordeaux Graves has landed, so I'll be giving that a taste next. Okay, I believe this is a 2022 Bordeaux. I didn't quite capture the chateau, but it's from Graves, so certain sort of sub-variant of Bordeaux. Good colour, very full-bodied, as from to the eye that is, so let's give this a taste. So on behalf of Bellamy's in Mayfair, Fonte. That's absolutely delicious. Better slow down though. Okay, we finally have liftoff, so let's progress through the starter. Yeah, so I would say if I was being very picky, maybe some kind of chutney would go along with it, but perhaps that's not the done thing. Let me know in the comments. It also comes with some slices of lightly toasted bread to add a little bit more crunch to the whole mix. Thankfully, there is plenty going on within the terrine. There is different layers of tastes and within the texture itself to keep the palate busy. So perhaps the more you eat it, the less you will be thinking about you would have wanted some kind of sauce or chutney to go along with it. Anyway, I'll stop banging on about that. Let's carry on eating. Conversation levels are quite loud in here, so that's going to be quite difficult to filter out, so I'll do my best. It looks and tastes to me that it is definitely made in-house. There is a lovely sense of rusticness and imperfection about the whole dish, so it's reassuring. And another piece. A little palate cleanser. When I was browsing through the menu for the starters, there were some very fascinating items, such as iced lobster souffle. No idea what that is other than a souffle with lobster in there. And there is whitebait as well. But I had whitebait last week, or 2 weeks ago, at the Cutting Start pub, and I had quite a few. If you've been watching my videos, that is, I've had quite a few soufflés, so I figured try something a little bit different to add a bit more variety and diversity in the different dishes in this channel. But I would definitely fancy trying that lobster soufflé next time if I ever come back here. I'm mindful about the amount of bread that I have at my disposal. So you've got the almost like excellent soldiers, you cut your toast into strips and you've got your bread on the side as well. So yeah, try not to eat too much. Got to save up room for mains and desserts, of course. So yes, at this stage, as I'm eating through this, it's not missing much at all. So I take back what I said earlier. It's fine. All fine. All good. So these anecdotal interludes are often the most difficult part when making these videos, so you're going to have to forgive me folks if I come across a little bit rusty or make the odd mistake or two, and I might have to even read off my notes. So Bellamy's restaurant is situated in Bruton Place, just around the corner from where, well, actually just along the same street as where the Guinea Grill pub is. If you haven't seen my Sunday roast video of the Guinea Grill, then please do so if you haven't already. So it is more famously that the restaurant is very close to number 17 Bruton Street, which is said to be the place where the late Queen Elizabeth II was born. The late Queen was also known to have enjoyed her 90th birthday here at Bellamy's, if that wasn't enough. So founded in 2004 on the site of a former caviar restaurant and pre-owned Rolls-Royce garage, Gavin Rankin cut his teeth in hospitality at the former caviar bar before moving on to the private members club of Annabelle's over at Berkeley Square. Looks to me as a rather short and sweet story of things going full circle. Gavin Rankin returned to Bruton Place and opened Bellamy's. It gets its name from a series of novels, by the way. To this day, the restaurant is operated by Gavin, plus friends and former colleagues from his earlier days over at Annabelle's. The concept of French brasserie dining in London isn't new, and as with all brasseries in the UK, Bellamy's doesn't brew its own beer, and that is a technicality of what makes a brasserie so in France. However, this restaurant promises a dining experience that is a little bit more understated, comforting, inclusive and convivial, which is opposed to the typical cacophony of noise, chatter and confrontation that you experience in a Zone 1 eatery. And the main course has landed. So naturally you've gone for a steak and frites. And here are the frites. And these are homemade. I know so because I've had a cheeky first bite at it, and you definitely taste the natural potato in there. So technically it's an entrecote cut of beef, and I mentioned steak knife, which is here. However, as it is cut into smaller pieces, I could probably technically get away with doing this one-handed. I'll give it a go anyway. So medium rare. We have it. Good char on the steak itself, but plenty of flavour inside. What I love about good quality beef is you can always detect the natural flavour within the meat itself. So it's very subtle, but if you pay attention to it, it's there. I'm avoiding using my tripod due to not the lack of space, it's just a bit fiddly tonight. So I'm just going to have to sort of adapt with one hand. Okay, so it comes with this, it looks to me more like a hollandaise sauce than béarnaise. Béarnaise is typically more whites, isn't it? So, and it's slightly tart as well. I did have a little sneak taste as well. But I dipped the steak in there. I know I shouldn't have done it that way, but I only have one take at this. Here we go. That is a very interesting. Sorry, I don't mean interesting. The combination absolutely works. The tartness, the pungence of the hollandaise counters by the earthiness of the beef. Lovely marriage. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'm very impressed with this so far. What else can I say about the entrecote beef? Fantastic. So I'm just going to have to get some of the homemade frites onto the plate. The ease of eating. I did have to put some salt into it, as it came unseasoned. So seasoned to your liking. Yeah, nothing beats a good homemade French fry or chip. You can taste real potato in there. You know when you eat French fries, chips in 99% of places, or fries that you get out from the oven, from the freezer, bung it into the oven. Crispness is there, but inside the potato content, you can't taste anything. But with roast potatoes, when you make your own roast potatoes or you go out to eat Sunday roast, for example, there's this earthiness flavour in the potato, and you get that in these French fries. I know I'm just over elaborating, it's just French fries, isn't it? There you go. So, hollandaise sauce and French fries. Yes. Another amazing marriage of flavours. This is cheering me up, I'm telling you. So you have a little token slice of tomato that has been grilled for what it's worth. So it's more of a garnish than something you'd eat, but yeah. That's no ordinary tomato. I wish there was more of it. It's almost as if the tomato was ripened. It's got that extra intensity of sweetness in there, and no acidity whatsoever. Given a choice of rump steak or entrecote, I would pick the latter. There's just simply more going on with it. There was a family, 4 or 5, sitting, I'd say about 5 to 6 tables away from me, and a young lad who was brave enough to walk over and ask me what my channel was, so I shared the details of the channel. So if you're watching, thanks for introducing yourself, and yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed your meal as well. I'm trying to think the last time I had steak and frites, and that was in Katterner's, which overall was a pleasant dining experience. I loved the location, the hotel, all the charisma and history. But the food, in terms of the comparison between the steak and frites, I'd say the Bellamy's certainly has the upper hand. It just comes across more authentic, more natural. The home-cooked frites gives it an extra edge as well, if this beef wasn't enough. Okay, I think I covered enough of the main course, so have this piece and I'm going to finish the rest off camera. You're not seeing double, that is another glass of the Graves Bordeaux, as it's so good. So I've nearly finished my portion of homemade fries there, a little bit more on the plate. I've devoured what's left of the little but intensively sweet and flavoursome tomato. I wish they gave me 3 of them, that would be ideal. Okay, so I was done out of being able to have pudding in my last video, so I will not make the same mistake again this time. It's a little lovely, yes, a petit menu here with 9 options even, and I've been told there is a dessert of the day, which is rhubarb crumble even. However, from what I understand is there are 2 puddings in this menu that are made by Gavin Rankin's mother every day, and that is the Tunisian orange and almond cake and Marina's chocolate cake. I will deduce that Marina is Gavin's mother's name. So I'm going to something unique to this restaurant, so I'm going to mull over these 2 lovely dessert options that I will reveal all in the next segments. Ooh, I forgot that you flip this over. You got the liqueurs and desserts, wines, vin de desserts. If I was at home, I would certainly have a little bit of tipple along with my pudding, but I don't want to be too sloshed and pissy in the outro, so yeah. Gonna have to suffer for my arse, I'm afraid. Oh my goodness. So this is the signature Tunisian orange and almond cake. So the significance of oranges from Tunisia is they're known for the intense orange to red colour, and perhaps, I don't know what specific variety, but I can imagine it would be something like the Motizier Sanguine, which is the most famed variety. Anyway, it comes along with a quenelle of, let me just ascertain what it is. Okay, I reckon it's creme fraiche, but I will taste it in a second. Okay, let's dig into the cake. Here we go. Wow. Cut this cake and it bleeds orange. The citrus, orange citrus, oils, the juices, it's just completely permeated the sponge cake and the overtone of almonds to give that nuttiness. Without trying to sound like a pretentious food reviewer, that is, it is exactly what it tastes of. That's amazing. So moist. If I had to be absolutely fussy, I just wish it was a bigger slice. Right, let's try the, I believe it's creme fraiche. Let me just taste it on its own. Indeed, it is. Right, so let's try this with the cake for the ultimate experience. The shock and horror I actually have a pudding in this video. So, I've already relayed my initial thoughts of this dessert, and it's delicious. I just wish it was a larger portion. That's because I'm a piggy. There is to it. The creme fraiche simply, it doesn't help whatsoever because it makes it taste even better, and you just want even more. Have you ever had almond slices? You could get those packs of 6 to 8 almond slices in the supermarket. Imagine that, but far more fluffy inside, much more, I hate this word, moist as well because of the orange, the Tunisian orange juice in there. Simply nothing quite like it, and you could only get it in London, that is, you could only get it here. It is a signature pudding of Bellamy's, as lovingly made by Gavin's mother. If you could sum up a dish that sums this place up, perhaps it would be this. The theme for tonight is understatement, and I have waffled on a fair amount, so kind of failed on that front. So I will say no more, and leave things as they are. As you can clearly see from my body language and from my reactions, I'm enjoying this. So I'm going to finish this off, and I shall see you all aside for the wrap up. I won't be long. So that was Bellamy's, a rather understated but convivial spot for you to have a sneak peek at on YouTube, but let's hope the video doesn't harm its under the radar appeal. I often will try to make my videos to be more about showing and not telling, and I'm just hoping that the more of a understated approach mirrors what this restaurant is all about. So that about wraps it up. I got to go. It's getting rather late. So I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. So until that time, you all take care now.